I'm going to be talking now to one of the key players in a key sector of the economy. I'm talking about the industrial sector, manufacturing in particular, Nicholas Velverde, who is the Managing Director, Nigerian Breweries. We're getting his perspectives on how this economy can achieve competitiveness and, of course, sustain growth. Good morning to you, Mr. Velverde.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good to be here.
So you've been listening to ongoing conversations here at the summit. What were the strong points for you?
From the summit, I think it is an outstanding platform to bring together government and the private sector and design a way forward. And when you hear to the presentations and all the conversations with the individuals, everybody is absolutely convinced of the growth potential that Nigeria can offer. At the same time, everybody also sees that we're not getting that growth that the country can give. And yesterday I thought there were very good discussions on what is the competitive advantage, where do we need to deregulate, what type of investments facilities, and how can we get sustainable growth. And something I think very important that was mentioned yesterday, how can we get inclusive growth and that all Nigerians at a certain moment profit and are part of the growth that this country can offer.
Well, looking at we have a new administration now of President Muhammadu Buhari. From your own point of view, as a key player in a very key sector of the economy, as talking about manufacturing, the industrial sector as a whole, what are your thoughts on this new administration with regards to economic direction, for instance?
Well, first of all, I think it is a great opportunity. Nigerians voted for change. They wanted to see a new government. I think a government that has now the opportunity to tackle a lot of the issues the country is in. In that, I also believe it is a big opportunity, and the government has, especially in terms of policy setting, that includes for me things like deregulation. And really improving the infrastructure, including education. I think this government is an enormous opportunity.
Or, for instance, in the manufacturing sector and industrial sector, where you happen to belong, what are your expectations? Do you expect to see more policy statements or more regulatory, pronouncements to, ensure the, adequate growth of the sector?
Yeah. Well, for us, the cost of doing business for manufacturing, and I think businesses in general, in Nigeria is high. And part of it is lack of the competitive infrastructure. And it goes to access to electricity, water, well-educated people, the road infrastructure, and so on and so on. So the first opportunity here is get an infrastructure that really compete with other emerging markets that are now operating on a global level. We talk about Vietnam, Indonesia, Brazil, Mexico. I think that is something. If that happens, manufacturing will certainly benefit from it. Education will be a very important one, and not something you can change overnight. Before you get the benefits from infrastructure and education, many years of hard and consistent work go in front of that. But in the end, if you want to be a global economy and really working according to global best practices, you need the infrastructure. You need people that can work according to these best practices. That will be long and hard and consistent work, but it is the only way to tap off the growth potential of Nigeria.
So how has Nigerian Breweries been able to cope with all of these challenges and limitations that you've just mentioned?
Well, Nigerian Breweries, basically the history started in 1946. And it has always been a company that had a real belief in making investments. And making investments especially for the longer term. And those investments were in state-of-the-art brewing technology, to be basically producing products on a global best practice level. But it was the same for training and development and hiring of our people. And we've always kept believing in investments in our brands and in the consumers and customers. That has, I think, not really changed over these almost 70 years. It is still something we do, continuously do at the moment. And I think that makes the difference between companies that are sort of looking short-term versus companies that are looking long-term and trying to capture those opportunities that are all there in the middle term and long term.
You mentioned education. I know that Nigerian Breweries has done a number of things with regards helping to boost education. Could you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for many years, since '94, when we started with the Felix Oiweri Education Trust Fund, we started investing in, let's say, educational infrastructure, and it ranges from refurbishing or building classrooms, laboratories, computer rooms, and libraries. And over the years, I think we've done operations in 40 communities, and we've touched on the lives of probably 20,000 students or even more. But we said, within that, we're missing one critical group, and those are the teachers. And this year we started the competition Maltina Teacher of the Year. It's the first time we did it. We had applicants from all the states, secondary schools, and last Monday we had the grand finale with the winners, first and second runner-up. But I think it is also here recognition of the important role teachers play for the future of Nigeria, and bringing back also some aspiration to that profession, and just salute them for the great work they're doing. And we hope to leverage on this in the coming years, and just bring back that pride to the teacher's profession, and thereby also improving the quality over time.
So you're focusing on education now. In the near future, what other sectors does Nigeria Breweries, plan, to begin to focus on with regards to corporate social responsibility?
We will continue to work in terms of backward integration. Since the 80s, we are deploying activities in backward integration in what we call the sorghum value chain. We developed seeds that improve, let's say, the yield per hectare, first from 1 to 2 tons per hectare. Now we have seeds that go from 2 to 4 tons per hectare. With partnerships like USAID, we also invested in improving the knowledge for farmers in terms of how to sow, how to finance, pre-financing of seeds, etc. We will continue to do that. At the same time, we're expanding this also to cassava. So we were also doing the same in cassava, and that will also be very beneficial for the subsistence farmers. It will help us also in terms of getting our raw materials from local sources. And we will continue to play a role in education and make interventions in providing water and electricity to communities that are close to where we work. And the last thing we will continue to do is the intervention we do with the Heineken Trust Fund, the Heineken Africa Fund, which are interventions on the medical level. And those 4 areas are firmly embedded in our corporate social responsibility, in our company, and we will continue to do that in the coming years.
So how are you going to engage the government, for instance, in achieving sustainability in the manufacturing industry? Because most of the conversations that are going to continue here in the next couple of hours will be focusing on key sectors, and manufacturing is one of them.
Yeah, sustainability is a very important issue. As I mentioned, backward integration and getting local raw materials from the communities in Nigeria is a key element. And there we set ourselves a target for Nigeria that we want to have more than 50% of our local raw materials by 2018 from Nigeria. We are ahead of that plan. We will probably reach it earlier. In terms of packaging, etc., it is basically already 100%. All supplied by Nigerian companies. That is one part of the sustainability, and we're also we have a very strict management system in reducing waste and better usage of water, and we've made tremendous progress there over the last few years. There is still more to get, but in this case I would sort of refer to a document we publish every year, and it is our sustainability report that really tracks what we have been doing over the years: water, electricity, backwards integration, CO2 reduction, and what our plans are for the coming years.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Velverde, for joining me on the program and speaking to us about plans for the manufacturing sector as well as Nigerian breweries as well.
Thank you very much.